I'm grateful for Miami. I desperately needed a break. My husband Ethan was in one of his moods again before this trip, stirring up that old conversation. I wasn't thrilled, but dodging it entirely was easier. Every few weeks or months his sulking would resurface. I knew why, though I played dumb. The spark would fizzle out in a few days and we'd return to normal. Sometimes it lingered longer, but it always faded. This time the tension was electric, and I was relieved to escape to Miami, even if it was for work. No better timing. Most would guess it's about intimacy, and they'd be right. I sometimes wished it was something mundane, but no. Ethan wanted a hot wife, his term for a wife who seeks intimacy outside our marriage for mutual thrill. It meant him watching me with someone new, or me bringing home photos, videos, or vivid stories of my encounters. To me, that's cheating. We toyed with the idea early in our marriage, and it drove a wedge between us. We nearly split. Those were dark days, a raw ache I don't like revisiting. Ethan can't let go of the fantasy, though. It creeps back over and over. Sometimes we'd hit a passionate phase, things got wild, frequent, and fun, including his inevitable push to revisit the hot wife lifestyle. I'd feel his hunger for it like a fire he couldn't douse. Then I'd shut it down, saying it wouldn't happen ever. That's been our cycle for a decade. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind attention from other men. I crave it sometimes, that flutter of being noticed. There's a difference, though, between harmless flirting and crossing lines. Back when I indulged Ethan's kink, the thrill of a new encounter was intoxicating, but the morning after guilt crushed me. It felt wrong, like betraying my own heart. I could never shake it. If that's the life I wanted, I'd never have married. Even on rare nights when I'm drawn to someone else, I don't act on it. Let me paint a picture. A year and a half ago, I went out with a coworker, Liam, a strikingly handsome guy I'd never let Ethan meet. He was all charm, witty, easygoing with a smile that would melt ice. I saw him almost like a platonic buddy, except he wasn't. He'd remind me of that when he'd had a few drinks, his flirtations bold but never pushy. We'd dance, laugh, and lose track of time. That night, Liam and I hit a restaurant that turned into a lively nightclub. He was his usual extroverted self, chatting up strangers, dancing like nobody was watching. I matched his energy, but as he got tipsier, his hands wandered more than I liked. We ended up near a group of people, and I struck up a conversation with a few. One guy caught my eye, tall, young, with a chiseled face and a body that screamed confidence. His name was Noah. Unlike the others, he seemed detached, almost bored. I was curious why this gorgeous guy stayed on the sidelines when he could have had any woman there. We started bantering, and I teased him for being too cool for the scene. He grinned, his eyes locking on mine, sparking something dangerous. He knew he was attractive, not arrogant, but secure, like he owned the room. For some reason, he was drawn to me, a near middle-aged mom with a wedding ring. I was flattered, don't get me wrong. I know I'm attractive even if I'm not obsessed with my looks. I've got curves, a great chest, and a body that still turns heads despite a few post-baby pounds. Noah clearly thought so too. He was a gentleman, though his hands never wandered, his words careful. The attraction was undeniable, a low hum of tension between us. He knew I was married and respected it, which drove me a little crazy, but also felt safe. Ethan would have eaten this up, but I knew it was a fleeting moment. We danced, talked, and laughed all night, making Liam jealous for no reason. As the night ended, Noah gave me the sweetest compliment. He asked if had I not been married, he'd have had a shot. My heart skipped. I told him no question. I wondered for a second if he'd ask for my number and what I'd say if he did. He didn't. We said goodbye, and I spent the ride home rolling my eyes at Liam's drunken flirting, wondering what made Noah so different. I think about him sometimes, curious where he is, what it'd be like to see him again. Ethan doesn't help, bringing up that night every couple of weeks, obsessed with the idea of me with Noah, fascinated by their contrasting looks. I don't see it that way, people are people. But Ethan's drawn to the forbidden thrill of it. Fast forward to this Miami trip. I travel here quarterly for work, always a good time. This time, I was alone, no colleagues, no local friends. I missed having someone to hit South Beach with at night or grab coffee at a cozy cafe in the morning. Ethan couldn't come, our kids kept him home. He's the best babysitter I could ask for, and he adores our little monsters. I arrived at the Grand Palms Hotel around 6:00 p.m., exhausted from travel. The flight was smooth, no layovers, but something about planes drains me. I didn't need to be at the office until 9:00 a.m., so I had no plans beyond eating and crashing. I checked in, dropped my bags, and slipped into a hot shower, letting the steam melt away the day's stress. Wrapped in the hotel's plush robe, I collapsed onto the bed, intending to order room service. 3 hours later, I jolted awake. The room was dark, the city's glow seeping through the curtains. Panicked, I checked my phone. It was late. I hadn't called Ethan to let him know I was safe. I'd texted him when I landed, but not since. I called, and he answered, one of our kids throwing a tantrum in the background. He sounded distracted, barely concerned now that I was settled. I mentioned I was fine, and he snapped back with a sarcastic, "Why wouldn't you be?" It stung, his indifference cutting deeper than I expected. I hung up quickly, letting him deal with bedtime chaos. Alone in a strange city hundreds of miles from home, I felt a pang of loneliness. Then I laughed. Ethan was stuck with the kids while I had this quiet, gorgeous room. I decided to make the most of it. Realizing my 3-hour nap killed any chance of sleeping soon, I knew tomorrow's workday would be brutal. What else could I do but head to the bar and hope a drink would tire me out? Miami demanded a little effort, so I freshened up, slipped into a cute black top and tight jeans, and headed downstairs. The Grand Palms, a stunning 1920s gem, blended Victorian elegance with Art Deco flair. The bar was simpler, carved from polished wood, but it was eerily quiet for a summer night. The Miami heat was oppressive, maybe keeping people away. A lone older woman sat at the bar, chatting with the bartender. My night wasn't looking promising. I ordered a drink, scrolled through old high school friends' posts on my phone, and debated what to eat. "Hey, mind if I join you? It's Emma, right?" A deep voice snapped me out of my haze. I turned, and there he was, Noah in Miami, standing behind me. My heart raced. Trouble had found me. "Actually, it's Ava, but not bad for over a year," I said, stunned. He recognized me. My hair was shorter, but his eyes hadn't forgotten. "Still wish I'd asked for your number," he teased, flashing that grin. Heat crept up my cheeks. I steered the conversation away from flirting. "What brings you to Miami?" He was here for a music festival, his smile disarming, like he knew something I didn't. Those familiar butterflies stirred. His friends had other plans tonight, leaving him solo. He was the only one in his group without a girlfriend, and with the festival over, he was soaking up Miami's vibes, music, food, the works. He called this his date night, and I couldn't help but laugh. I thought about calling Ethan to share the twist, but stopped myself. 1, he'd push me to act on it like some overeager matchmaker. 2, he'd once said he'd love it if I surprised him with details later. That was enough to keep my phone down. I trusted Noah, and my plan was to stay close to the hotel anyway. We decided to Uber to South Beach, find a spot to eat. Lucky for me, he loved spicy food as much as I did. We landed at a vibrant little joint with live jazz and mouth-watering shrimp. Our conversation flowed effortlessly, life work, his dating adventures. He asked what Ethan would think of this moment. I froze, unsure how to answer. He'd be thrilled, I almost said, but instead went with, "He's fine. I have guy friends from work I hang out with. He trusts me." Noah's grin widened. "But does he trust me? I mean, if he knew how much I want to keep in touch with you." I blushed, those butterflies now a storm. "Let's hit the hotel pool," he suggested. I laughed, saying I hadn't packed a swimsuit. 15 minutes later, we were in a tourist shop picking one out. I fought it, but Miami's vibe and a few drinks won. I chose a sleek black one-piece modest enough to cover my post-baby insecurities. Back at the hotel, we changed and met on the rooftop pool deck. I spent 25 minutes debating if this was a terrible idea, nervous about being seen in my swimsuit. Noah's gentlemanly charm and liquid courage calmed me. The pool was closed, but I heard splashing. Peeking through the gate, I saw Noah swimming. "Hey, come in and lock the door. This is our night," he called. Miami's humid air clung to my skin as I latched the gate, heart pounding. Noah climbed out, water dripping from his lean runner's body, pure muscle, no fat. His smile distracted me from my self-consciousness. "Are those shorts?" I teased. "You're not the only one who didn't pack swimwear," he shot back. We were alone in a closed pool, breaking rules, and it felt thrilling. We settled into the water, him against one wall, me against another. The pool glowed softly, the only light in the dark. We talked about living in Miami, my chaotic life as a mom, his freedom as a single guy. "I still can't believe you're here," he said. "I wanted your number that night. Would you have given it to me?" I hesitated. Maybe in a weak moment. The heat, the drinks, the city, it all made me reckless. He pushed, teasing, "What would you have said?" I smirked. "Let's leave it at that." There were moments I might have, but I'm not sure they'd match when you'd ask. We laughed, then fell into an awkward silence, staring at the stars. "I wonder if there was a moment I could have gotten away with more than just your number," he said softly. My pulse quickened. "You're cute, but not that cute," I lied, grinning. "When was I at my best?" he pressed. The flirting was electric now, our smiles unstoppable. "Maybe when we were dancing," I admitted, looking away. He lit up. "Then let's dance." He grabbed his phone, playing an old dance track I loved. How did he know? He swam toward me, hand outstretched. I let him pull me close, and in the middle of that rooftop pool, we danced. The water amplified the music, making it magical. At first we laughed, but as the rhythm took over, our bodies pressed closer. The next song was slower, sensual. Our hips moved together, his arms tightening around me. His hands slid to my waist, pulling me in with each beat. Our foreheads touched, and he whispered, "Does the water feel good?" My stomach flipped. "The water's fine," I managed, barely breathing. Then he kissed me, soft at first, then deeper. I melted my hands in his hair, lost in the moment. The kiss grew urgent, his hands gliding down my back, stopping just above my hips. Our bodies pressed closer, moving as one. I crossed a line, ignoring the consequences. His lips trailed to my neck, my breath catching as I kissed his ear, drawing a soft moan. His hands gripped my hips tighter, our breathing heavy. In a playful tug, he pulled one strap of my swimsuit down, then the other, exposing me to the humid night. The warmth of the water and his touch sent a rush through me. He lifted me onto the pool's edge, stepping between my legs, his body against mine. His hands explored, gentle but firm, pulling the swimsuit aside. Our eyes locked, his gaze burning with desire. "Hey, what are you two doing?" A voice boomed from the entrance. I scrambled to cover myself, diving back into the water as Noah shielded me. An older hotel worker stood there. "Pool's closed. You gotta go." We burst out laughing, my face burning. Noah grabbed his phone and keycard. I wrapped my towel around me and we hurried past the man. He grinned, saying, "Get a room and have a great night," winking at Noah. In the elevator, the worker stood in front of us. Guilt crashed over me, my mind racing. Then Noah's hand slipped under my towel, his fingers brushing my thigh, sliding beneath my swimsuit. "You won't sleep much tonight," he whispered, kissing my ear. I fought to stay composed, praying the worker didn't notice. The elevator dinged and we stepped out, Noah's chest against my back, his arms around me. "Still think you're going to bed?" he growled. "No," I gasped, desire overwhelming me. He led me to his room, unlocking the door. Inside, he peeled off my swimsuit, his hands igniting every nerve. We kissed fiercely, my hands pulling him closer. I tried to move us to the bed, but he stopped me, shedding his shorts. What followed was something I'd only shared with Ethan. Noah's scent, chlorine mixed with masculine musk, drove me wild. His moans grew louder, our intensity building. I hesitated, unsure how far I'd go, but he had other plans. He lifted me onto the bed, his grip firm but gentle, whispering, "Want me to do this?" "Yes," I breathed, lost in desire. He moved with confidence, our bodies in sync. The intensity overwhelmed me, a rush of heat and sensation. I was consumed, wanting it to last forever. When I collapsed exhausted, he followed, his hands soothing my shoulders. "I'm not done," he murmured, continuing with a slow, deliberate rhythm. I urged him on, craving more. He flipped me onto my back, his eyes burning into mine. The moment was raw, unforgettable. I reached my peak first, overwhelmed, then urged him not to stop. His release followed, his soft moans filling the room. We collapsed, breathless, my head on his chest, our sweat mingling. He kissed my forehead and we lay there, time stretching endlessly. Eventually, he slipped into the bathroom. I stared at the ceiling, my heart pounding, processing everything. My phone buzzed with Ethan's messages, the last one saying he assumed I was asleep. "Not exactly," I muttered. Noah returned, handing me a towel. "What did you say, Ava?" he asked, grinning. I laughed, heading to the bathroom, deciding to push guilt aside for the night. Through the door, he called, "We both need a shower." I cracked it open, teasing, "What did I say?" He stood there, unapologetically naked, that grin still disarming. I turned on the shower, calling, "Ready when you are." We stayed up all night, lost in each other. I dragged myself to work the next morning, a mess but buzzing. I ducked back to Noah's room at lunch, stealing a nap and more time with him. The rest of the trip blurred work by day, nights with Noah. My last night, we made the most of every second, knowing it was temporary. He offered to join me at the airport. "Let me keep this memory as is," I said, smiling. In the taxi, my phone pinged a text from Noah. He'd snuck his number into my phone, or maybe I'd given it to him. "See you in town," it read. My heart raced. Another night like this wouldn't be bad. I decided not to tell Ethan yet. I'd get home late after the kids were asleep, with just enough time to slip into something fun with him. Let him piece it together from the clues. I hadn't showered before leaving, carrying traces of Noah. It still felt like a dream. I wonder how many times I'll retell this to Ethan, but for now I'm writing it down, a story with more to come. Stay tuned.